Hey everyone, I'm Allison Rout. Thanks for checking out Greer CPW's social media pages. We've made the trip down to Spartanburg, down to USC Upstate, where we're going to learn a little bit more about the Upstate Watershed Ecology Center. I'm joined now by the director, Dr. DrTurner. Thank you so much for letting us come down.
We're glad you got to come.
Me too, me too. Tell me a little bit about the history of this center and how it got its start.
Well, the center was started in 2001. I had applied for a grant from EPA. It was a matching grant, was turned down. So I went back to the people that had provided the match money and said, hey, this is such a great idea. Could I have your match money and we'll make it work? And so those folks said, well, yeah, sounds like a good idea. So within just a short while, we were contacting a lot of kids. And since that time, well, the first year we were about 1,100. At the end of this year, we were close to 20,000 kids that are contacted by our program.
And speaking of the program, explain a little bit more in what you guys do.
Well, we mostly take science education. The original goal was to take watershed and watershed education out to the schools. The water manager folks within Spartanburg and into Greenville were concerned about the fact that people knew very little about where their water came from, what watersheds were, and who lives in a watershed. And so that's where we started. And one of the things that we discovered, and everybody should know this, is that you can relate almost anything to water because we're completely, totally dependent upon water. Clean water. We have lots of dirty water, but the clean water is what we really need, both for our own uses, for animals' uses, and to raise our crops.
It's funny that you mention that because August is Water Quality Month. So why, in your opinion, should people be so concerned about what's in the streams, what is in our water, what we're drinking, and where we get our water from?
Well, I think people need to go back just a few months and think about Flint, Michigan, and the fact that their water had lead in it. Lead is a toxic metal, and there were lots of problems with that. Spartanburg, Greenville, the Upstate are really blessed. Regardless of what they think, they're really blessed at being the top of the watershed, and so we don't have a lot of impurities in our water yet. Now, on the other hand, if you go to Columbia and go down to Charleston, we've sent a lot of stuff down there to those folks because everything we use up here goes back in the rivers, back in the lakes, and it's used by somebody else. And so people really should be concerned about, one, the quality that comes to their house, and two, the quality of the water that goes to their neighbors, which in our case are maybe 90 miles down the road.
Right. How do you sort of relate Flint, Michigan to an elementary school age when you go into their classrooms and talk to them?
Well, it would be tough, at least with the lower grades, but it wouldn't be that tough with the upper grades. Probably the middle school kids have heard about it. They may not understand it, but I think middle school kids, you can sort of help them along to understand what toxic metals do to the system.
And where would you say you get your passion for this from?
Oh, Gordon, that's a hard one. I don't know, I've just been involved with education for so long that it just seems like a natural thing for me to do. And I think water education for me, because I've been involved with water and water research for not quite forever, but at least longer, for 20 years. And so, yeah, you just develop that passion for.
And what I read on your bio is that you think education starts in the classroom, and then the kids in turn take it to home to mom and dad, and it comes full circle.
One of the things that we thoroughly believe here is that what we tell the kids in a classroom, they really do take home.
Thanks again to Dr. Turner for letting us come down and offering us great insight here into the center and what they do here. We actually do have several employees with Greer CPW that are products of this system right here at USC Upstate. So I'm now joined by Daniel Farr. He works at the wastewater treatment plant. And Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today. And tell me a little bit about how you even got interested in this field.
Well, my original goal here at USC Upstate was to go through the biology program to do physical therapy. But professors such as Dr. Turner kind of turned me on to environmental sciences through many of their courses, the biologies, the ecologies, and included in those was water quality. And as I moved through the program and I learned more about water quality, I decided that I needed to find a career that allowed me to become an environmental steward and to go out there every day and make sure that the animals and us as humans have good, clean water to use and enjoy.
I think a lot of people take our drinking water for granted, where we get it from. What would you say moving forward is kind of your goal at work and CPW? It may be always to provide the best quality drinking water possible, but what would you say your goal is?
My goals, I think, tend to mirror the Watershed Ecology Center's goals. It's just continue to educate the public into why we need to take care of our source water, which leads to good drinking water.
And how would you sort of suggest people get involved in doing that? Is it becoming a part of Adopt a Stream, or just being more aware of what they're sticking in the streams or throwing out the car window? What would you say?
I think all of these things. I think probably the best thing you can do is read and research, and potentially that will lead to someone participating in something like Adopt a Stream.
All right. Well, thank you guys again so much for checking out Greer CPW's social media pages, and we'll see you next time.